Shalom, shalom lekulam. We're back today with the Valuable Vav, the final chapter, and we're looking at the Vav as a suffix. And the Vav as a suffix appears as a plural ending in several of the different forms of the verb. We're going to look first at the perfect form, that it would be what we might call the past tense. In the plural third person, the word for they did something, is the same for masculine and feminine. It takes the same form. So let's look at two examples of that.
Shemot tet vav pasuk 22. Exodus 15 verse 22. V'yasam Moshe et Yisrael miyam suf v'yetzu el midbar shur v'yelchu shloshet yamim bamidbar v'lo matzu mayim. Bereshit Aleph pasuk 14. Genesis 1 verse 14. Vayomer Elohim yehi me'orot berakia hashamayim lahavdil ben hayom uven halayla v'hayu la'atot ulemoadim uliamim v'shanim.
In the first verse in Shemot, we see that the word matzu, they found. And this is talking about the people when they didn't find water in the wilderness. And so it's a masculine, perfect form. The root is matzah, mem tzadi aleph, and the vav at the end is they found, or in this case, they didn't find. In the second verse, we have hayu. We see that vav is highlighted there. And this is a feminine form. It's talking about the me'orot. The me'orot are the lights, and that's a feminine form. The root for was is hey yud hey. And when we have a hey as the last letter of the shoresh, a last letter of the root for the plural verb, the hey drops off. So hayu is they were, and it's a feminine form referring to the lights.
Bereshit Gimel pasuk 3. Genesis 3:3. Umipri ha'etz asher betoch hagan amar Elohim lo tochlu mimenu v'lo tig'u bo pen tamutun. Bereshit Aleph pasuk 20. Genesis 1:20. Vayomer Elohim yishritzu hamayim sheretz nefesh chaya v'of ye'ofef al haaretz al pnei rakia hashamayim.
In the next verse that we see also in Genesis, from the fateful moment of Eve replying to the serpent, we see a imperfect form. The u at the end of the verb in the imperfect form we see both in the second person plural and the third person plural. This is the second person plural. And Eve is trying to repeat back to the serpent what she heard from Yahweh. He said, don't eat of it. So we see that verb tochlu, the imperfect forms of the verb usually have prefix, but they will also carry an accompanying suffix. So the prefix for you will, plural, is the tav. The root, aleph kaf lamed, is ochel, to eat. And the vav at the end makes it plural, tochlu, you will not eat. The next verse is from Genesis also, and it is a third person plural. So the prefix is the yud, yishritzu, and the vav at the end again makes it plural.
Bereshit Aleph pasuk 22. Genesis 1:22. V'yavarech otam Elohim lemor, pru urvu umil'u et hamayim bayamim v'ha'of yerev ba'aretz.
The command form in Hebrew comes from the second person imperfect. So either the singular or the plural, you will do something or do it. Here we see a command that Yahweh is giving to the fish of the sea and the birds of the air. Pru, you know the word pre. Pre means fruit. This is a verb, pru. You will be fruitful. Revu, you will multiply. Milu, you will fill up the earth. He's giving them a command. So the Vav at the end there in the form of the Shuruk tells us that it's a plural command. Okay, we're going to have a big review here and just look at several different verses to see, analyze every Vav that we see in each verse.
Bereshit Lamed Zayin Pasuk Shmona, Genesis 37, verse 8. Vayomru lo Echav, Hamloch timloch aleinu, im mashol timshol banu, vayasifu od sno oto, al chalamotav v'al devarav. Bereshit Mem Gimel Pasuk 33, Genesis 43, verse 33. V'yeshvu lefanav habechor kivchorato, v'hatzair k'tzairato, v'yitmehu ha'nashim ish el re'ehu.
The first example comes from the story of Joseph and his brothers. The first Vav, Vayomru, the first Vav is and. The Vav at the end is they said. Now we talked about this briefly. We see that the verb is actually conjugated in the imperfect, but it starts with that reversing Vav, or that Vav conversive that changes the aspect of the verb, the tense. So we're going to read it as a perfect, and they said. So the U at the end is for they. Lo, that's the preposition, to him. Echav, remember when we have that Yud Vav there to mean his, that's a plural, his brothers. Moving down to the next verb, vayosifu. Again, that's the Vav conversive. The first Vav is and, converting the verb from imperfect to perfect in the reading of it. They continued, and they continued what? To hate him. Oto, that O at the end is to hate him. It's the personal pronoun him connected to the Aleph Tav direct object marker. Why? Because of the chalomotav, his chalomot, his dreams, and devarav, his words. The second example is again with Joseph still and his brothers, and they're sitting down to eat with him. The first Vav is a Vav conversive, changing the tense from imperfect to perfect, and the Vav at the end, U, is for plural, and they were seated, or they sat down, lifanav. This is a combination of the preposition lifnei, before, or in his face. The Vav at the end is for him. They sat down across from him, or in his face, opposite him. The oldest, kivachorotav, according to his birthright, according to the fact that he was the oldest. And again, the Tzair, the youngest, according to his being the youngest. So those two O's at the end of those words are for his. The one belonged to Reuben, the other belonged to Benjamin. The next Vav is a Vav conversive, again converting the tense. And they were amazed. The O at the end is for they. They were astonished at one another. Each man with his friend or his brother, Re'eh Hu. Remember we talked about sometimes a who will be at the end for his. So it's according to his neighbor. Each one was astonished with his neighbor or his friend.
Mlachim Aleph, Perek Yudchet, Pasuk 21. 1 Kings, chapter 18, verse 21. Vayigash Eliyahu el kol ha'am, vayomer, ad matai atem poschim al shtei haseifim, im Yahweh ha'Elohim luchu acharav, ve'im ha'Baal luchu acharav, ve'lo anu ha'am oto davar.
Finally, from the scene with Elijah and the prophets of Baal, the first Vav again is a Vav conversive. We were going to read it the opposite tense. And he approached the people. Vayomer, and he said. Even though it looks like Yomer, the Yud tells us it's an imperfect. Because of the conversive Vav, we're going to read it as a perfect. He said to the people, how long will you waver between two opinions? If Yahweh is God, lechu. This is a command form. The root for to go is halach, hey lamed kaf. In the imperfect, we lose the hey. The vav at the end is for plural. All y'all go acharav. This is a combination of the preposition achar or acharei, to go after something. The vav is him. Who are they to go after? Go after Yahweh. V'im, and if Baal is God, lechu acharav, go after him. But it's a plural. All y'all go after a singular him. And then we have one more vav as a verb, lo anu. This is the verb ona, to answer. Ayin nud hey, and the hey drops in the third person plural. It's a perfect tense. They didn't answer. Who? All the people did not answer. Oto. This is a combination of the aleph tav, direct object marker, and the personal preposition him. They did not answer him, davar, not a single word. Okay, I hope that this is helpful to you. We're done with the vav, and next time we'll go on to pick another letter of the alphabet to explain what are the meanings for the use as the suffix and the use as the prefix. In the meantime, tasimete nayim al hashem mayim, keep your eye on the sky, your redemption draweth nigh. Shalom.